right now at 7.
Tonight, a new strain of coronavirus has entered the United States just as post-holiday cases start surging here in California.
We cannot afford to have a Christmas or New Year's surge on top of the surge.
They're good people. I get that.
People can't pay their rents. People can't pay their mortgages.
The Bay Area restaurant owner who refuses to stop serving despite health violations and hefty fines.
And dramatic new video just coming in. Wait until you hear what the suspect did after this crazy crash.
Almost ran his head on into a Lafayette unit.
Right now on the KPIX 5 News at 7 and streaming on CBS and Bay Area, more than 31,000 new California cases in just the past 24 hours. Intensive care units and hospitalization rates are both now up more than 35% in the last 2 weeks. Good evening, I'm Ken Bastida.
I'm Juliette Goodrich in for Elizabeth. Health officials warned earlier we don't have the capacity to deal with another surge. KPIX 5's Kenny Choi is at SFO for us tonight.
Travel at SFO Airport is down about 80% compared to this time last year. Health officials, though, continuing to urge people to avoid non-essential travel, although there are some positive signs. Traveling days after Christmas and right before the start of the new year has officials again making pleas for only essential travel.
The urge of many Californians to gather and do so in ways that really aren't COVID safe are going to lead to some transmission.
I'm planning on just staying in my close circle and staying safe as possible.
The Transportation Security Agency says it screened 1.28 million people Sunday on Christmas weekend. That's the highest number of travelers since the onset of the pandemic. Lines stretched as people have been waiting at testing sites across the Bay Area this week.
People are trying to be a little more conscious of where they're at, where they're going, and want to be safe and make sure that they're not spreading the disease more.
It's one New Year's Eve. I know it's been a hard year, but the vaccine is on the way. We need to gather by Zoom, by phone, by whatever social media we use.
Top health officials say most hospitals are stretched, but the Department of Health today says it hasn't heard of any reports of doctors having to choose one patient over another because of a lack of ventilators.
Individual hospitals in a county or region report implementing crisis care, that they've moved beyond contingency care, then other hospitals will be asked to share their resources and temporarily change their operations.
Just plan on doing the same thing, staying inside and waiting until everything calms back down.
The daily new case count number was down by the thousands when you compare it to the 7-day average for the state of California. That's a positive sign, but health officials emphasizing that the worst could still come in January. In San Francisco, Kenny Choi, KPIX 5.
Tonight, a Colorado man in his 20s is the first confirmed case of a new coronavirus strain that was discovered in the UK. The patient has no travel history and is now in isolation. Colorado officials are now doing extensive contact tracing to see if anyone else has been exposed. The new strain is said to be much more contagious, but both vaccines should protect against it.
Well, the coronavirus has been hitting restaurants especially hard. Thousands of them in the Bay Area forced to close. But tonight, one owner in Contra Costa County is taking a stand, and he is refusing to stop serving even indoors. KPIX 5's Wilson Walker is in Danville tonight.
You'll remember when the 5 counties launched their preemptive shelter-in-place, Danville was the scene of some resistance to that. A couple restaurants kind of put up a fight. Well, now in the official shelter-in-place, really down to one holdout, and he wants you to know why he's doing this.
You know, we want to tell people that we are not just defying the order just to defy the order. We are doing it because we have many employees that would have been home without a paycheck.
Gabe Mafarish may well be the last restaurant owner standing in defiance of the county shelter-in-place order. Even the other restaurants that initially stayed open have since stowed their outdoor equipment. The toll all of this has taken in Danville is unmistakable. One restaurant owner even using empty chairs to pay tribute to his laid-off workers.
You know, this industry's been hit so hard. People can't pay their rents. People can't pay their mortgages. They have little kids running around, and it's so sad.
For staying open, Encontro is now getting hit with a $1,000 fine every day it's observed operating, and those fines are being delivered in person by the Danville chief of police. He offered these thoughts on the restaurant's decision.
These are good people, and they're trying to do good things, and they employ a lot of the people that live in and around this area. They're good people. I get that. So that's what makes this tough, and that's what makes it sting, and that's why
the chief says he can only issue fines, but has, per his duty, also informed county and state officials about the violations. So why haven't they taken stronger action?
We have a case right now in Contra Costa courts.
So that is the reason for the current stalemate. Now, what do locals think of Encontro's intractability?
People I talk to, my friends, are not upset by. They're more upset by everything being closed down than they are about, someone being able to stay open.
So the lawsuit continues. Next hearing scheduled for Thursday here in Danville. Wilson Walker, KPIX 5.
Take a live look outside Ocean Beach in San Francisco. Get ready for more big winter wave action this week. Brian Hackney is here.
Brian Hackney, yes.
Julia Goodrich,
and
indeed.
Not only big waves, but I'm on a little delay, but
yes,
also some showers too, right? Don't say anything about my delay, Brian.
I'm not going to mention your delay. It's a beautiful delay. You are absolutely right. We've got these waves that are going to be moving into the Bay Area. As a result, we've got a beach hazard statement coming up with that sneaker wave threat, sudden breakers, rip currents. Always something you should keep in mind, but that threat is elevated over the next couple of days. And what's also going to be happening is that we've got a cold front that is moving toward the Bay Area. That's going to spread a chance of showers into the Bay Area, not tonight, but tomorrow night. And in advance of that, we get high clouds moving in overhead. So tonight, fair and chilly. Lows will be in the 30s. And then for increasing clouds will lead to a chance of Wednesday night showers. Not much, about 1/10 of an inch. But we'll clear it out of here. New Year's Eve during the day, we'll go severely clear again. And it looks like New Year's Eve is going to be clear as well. But it looks like there's rain ahead for the weekend. We'll cover that when we do the forecast in a few minutes. Kenny?
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Brian. Okay. Download the KPIX 5 app before the rainy weather comes back. You can get updated forecasts and breaking news alerts.
A community in Oakland outraged tonight after a statue of Breonna Taylor was first damaged and now it is gone. Take a look. This is all that's left of where it originally stood downtown. The artist behind the sculpture says it was targeted for a second time overnight. Someone apparently stole the remaining pieces after it was first busted over the weekend. The artist installed the statue 2 weeks ago to honor Taylor, who was shot and killed by police in her Kentucky apartment. The artist believes this is a direct attack on the Black Lives Matter movement.
I want this to be a symbol of joy for Breonna Taylor, and no matter what they do, we can rebuild it. When you mess with a sculptor, I know how to build things. You can't defeat that.
Carson started filling in the base with cement in hopes of preventing any more damage. No word yet from Oakland police. And tonight in San Francisco, a statue of Abraham Lincoln is all cleaned up. Someone covered his name and face with red paint over the weekend. There's been a growing debate over Lincoln's legacy in the city. As for any suspects, the San Francisco Sheriff's Department is investigating.
Some new video tonight shows a dramatic end to a dangerous police chase in Contra Costa County. Check this out.
Almost ran just head on into a Lafayette unit.
Yeah, Bay Area News Group obtained this video. Wild pursuit in June. Carjacking suspect in the pickup slammed into that patrol car head on, and then he hopped out and ran toward Highway 24 in Orinda. 28-year-old Victor Topete fell roughly 20 feet onto the freeway below before being hit by a car. But it didn't stop him at all. He allegedly carjacked another vehicle going into the Caldecott Tunnel toward Oakland. Suspect was eventually arrested after they put a canine on him, caught up to him. He is expected to stand trial early next year.
Well, up next, why you could see hundreds of extra dollars in your bank account in just a matter of hours.
And what's going on with those $2,000 payments? The one lawmaker holding up the vote while his colleagues push for action.
the difference between paying the rent or being kicked out of your home that you've lived in for years.
We made good trouble here in Palo Alto, and the result was good for everyone. This is a win-win for everybody.
And how activism and perseverance led to the opening of what could arguably be the Bay Area's prettiest park.
But first, a crazy storm catching people in Southern California off guard. What happened when everyone decided to head to the snow at the same time?
We got in the car and it said it would be 2.5 hours. And by the time we got to the bottom of the hill, it had already been 2.5 hours.
Taking a live look at the state capitol in Sacramento starting tomorrow, small businesses statewide can apply for grants from $5,000 to $25,000 under a state COVID relief program. The first round of grants will open at 8 a.m. and close on January 8th. Approvals will be announced starting January 13th. Nonprofits can apply as well. Now, the grants are part of the $500 million relief program that Governor Newsom announced last month.
Now, the mountains in Southern California packed with some new snow tonight, and it seems the stay-at-home orders have people rushing to play in it. Thousands of people headed up to the areas around Big Bear and Mount Baldy today, which caused huge lines of traffic. Some busy mountain highways had to close down because they were so packed. The roads were already clogged with drivers that got stuck there last night, caught off guard by the snowstorm. Traffic has been at a crawl all day long.
We got in the car and it said it would be 2.5 hours. And by the time we got to the bottom of the hill, it had already been 2.5 hours. And then coming up the hill, we just found the first place that we could pull over with snow because the kids really just want to play. But it still says we're going to be another hour and a half to get into Big Bear.
Are we there yet? You can just hear the kids. Let them play in the snow, though. All right, Brian, so what's on tap for us?
Well, a little bit of rain. Not much, and not till tomorrow night. But then by the time we get to this weekend, it looks like things will be changing. More rain coming in for Sunday, even more on Monday. So that's an encouraging sign for 2021. First, we're looking at San Jose, and it's looking awfully nice tonight. Few high clouds will be moving in. There's the sparkling city of San Francisco with the beacon atop the Transamerica Pyramid. And the numbers now are mostly in the upper 40s and low 50s. San Francisco at 51, and in San Jose it is 52 degrees right now. And here's what's happening. This low pressure in the Pacific Northwest is going to swing south through California. When it does, it'll bring some clouds in, and watch this. See the rain come into the North Bay area around after sunset tomorrow night, specifically 7:40 p.m. That's the way it's going to look tomorrow night. Then it sweeps through quickly, and that low heads south. We get an offshore push behind it. Things clear out very nicely by the time we get into New Year's Eve. So Thursday looks severely clear, but tomorrow not as much sunshine as we had today. In Santa Rosa, we get 1/1300 of an inch of rain. By the time you get down to San Jose, just 0.03 of an inch. So again, not a big rainmaker. In fact, the chances with this are not that great anyway. In San Francisco, 24% chance of rain. For Wednesday, doesn't amount to much, but look at what happens this weekend. By the time we get to Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the numbers begin to bump up. So we will look for the storm door after knocking on it for a while to finally open up a touch, and boy, do we need it. From a third of average rainfall to just a fifth down in the South Bay is not looking good. We should add to it tomorrow night, a little bit more over the weekend. We get some snow up in the mountains, but not much, about 1 to 6 inches at the highest elevations by the time Thursday morning rolls around. It'll be chilly tonight in Santa Rosa tonight, down to 30 degrees, a couple of degrees below freezing. It will be at freezing at Fairfield, 36 in San Jose, and 35 degrees in Mountain View, 44 at Pacifica. And here's how it looks tomorrow. For the South Bay, we've got high clouds. Again, not as much sunshine tomorrow, and 60 degrees at Morgan Hill, 57 at Milpitas. In Los Altos, 56 degrees. Go over Skyline down toward Half Moon Bay, 55 degrees. And over in the East Bay, the numbers will be in the mid to upper 50s. Very pleasant day for Wednesday, but a gauze of high clouds against the sun. And the same for the North Bay, 55 degrees at Rohnert Park, 57 for Santa Rosa. And in Ukiah, that rain begins earlier tomorrow night and 58 degrees. Clear skies tomorrow night, for New Year's Eve. And in the extended forecast, a little rain tomorrow night and more rain coming in for the weekend. That's the weather with the news. Here's Jules.
All right, Brian, thanks so much. Here's a look at your top headlines. At the White House tonight, President Trump is responding to comments on the pandemic from President-elect Joe Biden.
The Trump administration's plan to distribute vaccines is falling behind, far behind. I've directed my team to prepare a much more aggressive effort.
In response, President Trump tweeted, quote, "It is up to the states to distribute the vaccines once brought to the designated areas by the federal government." And tonight, President Trump is also pushing the Senate to approve the plan that would increase stimulus checks to $2,000. Earlier, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell blocked the Democrats' attempt to bring up a vote, but the legislation could be voted on later if McConnell chooses. His Democratic colleagues want a vote now.
$2,000 stimulus checks could mean the difference between American families having groceries for a few extra weeks or going hungry.
And despite the battle over the $2,000 checks, the IRS says tonight $600 stimulus payments could hit bank accounts as early as tonight. And Ken, paper checks will be mailed out starting tomorrow.
All right, thank you, Juliet. Coming up next, see your name up in lights, the creative way that one Bay Area theater is surviving.
Wow, we should do that because it's like an easy source of income.
Felt wrong to you?
It felt wrong, for sure.
Yeah, frustration and now relief in the fight over a once private, beautiful Bay Area park. And then later, they show up every day and put on quite a show. So what is keeping these turkeys around? We'll show you.
They live here, they're the boss.
So these guys have their own Facebook page.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, for decades, Foothills Park in Palo Alto was one of the most exclusive parks in the Bay Area. Well, not anymore. The 1,400 acres of walkways and trails, along with a serene lake, stunning views, was only open to people who lived in Palo Alto. Violators could be charged with a misdemeanor. But after years of lawsuits, the city of Palo Alto finally decided to open the park to everyone in the Bay Area. Some residents say the Black Lives Matter movement helped play a part in that change.
Because that's what we did. We made good trouble here in Palo Alto, and the result was good for everyone. This is a win-win for everybody.
The fact that it was not allowed specifically for residents outside of the area is kind of shocking for this area, to be honest. Yeah, it's
Felt wrong to you?
It felt wrong, for sure.
Well, the owners of an East Bay landmark have come up with a creative way to bring in some money during the pandemic. They're actually selling space on their marquee. So for $75, people can come up with their own message to place above the historic Orinda Theater. The theater opened in 1941, but it had to close in March because of the pandemic. The owners hope their new idea will help pay some of the lingering bills.
We put up a birthday message for a friend of ours, and then we got an email and said, "Hey, can I do that?" And I'm like, wow, we should do that because it's like an easy source of income for the theater and helps sustain us during this hard time.
Coming up next, we found out why some turkeys in one East Bay city just refuse to move on. Well, these rascals are known as the wild turkeys of Albany. They roam the streets every day. They've been known to stop traffic. People take pictures of them. We found out they show up because someone is feeding them every day at 2:30 in the afternoon.
I love birds. I have 7 canaries, 2 cats, and then I have these 9 babies. They just don't budge. I mean, they live here, they're the boss, and all of us humans sort of have to navigate around them.
A lot of people seem to like the turkeys, especially here in Albany.
Absolutely. I mean, they can be gorgeous animals, and
these guys have their own Facebook page.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, so far there's no plans to get the turkeys out of town.
They ruled that town. All right. Well, we want to thank you so much for watching. The news continues streaming on CBS and Bay Area. Who feeds them at 2:30, Ken?
That's right. And we'll be back here at 11.